Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Today I'm talking with Australian fitness badass Connor Petterson. He is the founder of Code 5 Fitness, which has 3 locations in the Sydney area of Australia. And we talk about some really important topics today. We talk about earning respect of your team as a leader and how you have to kind of put in the time to do so. We talk about the benefits of doing a daily huddle with your team and how that improves morale and communication. I'm looking at my notes. We talk about how to scale to multiple locations. They have 3 in a very competitive market of Sydney. Then we talk for the most of this conversation about Connor's approach to generating leads and following up with those leads for all of his locations. It's a really, really fantastic conversation. He really dives into the nitty-gritty and explains exactly his process step by step. It's super valuable. So if that sounds fun, keep on listening, my friends. The Business for Unicorns podcast is for fitness business owners who want actionable strategies to grow their business, take amazing care of their clients, and build a life and business they truly love. I'm your host, Michael Keeler, co-founder of Mark Fisher Fitness, and through Business for Unicorns, I'm a coach and consultant to industry-leading fitness studios around the world. Let's get started. Well, hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Michael here. Welcome to the Business for Unicorns podcast. Today I have a wonderful guest, Connor Petterson, joining me all the way from the other side of the globe in Australia. And so it's a little late night here, so we could be on the right time zone. But I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. Connor and I have never met before face-to-face, so I'm truly going to be asking questions that are about his business that I really don't know the answers to, which is going to be tons of fun. So let's welcome to the virtual stage here, Connor. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
G'day, mate. Very good. How are you?
So good. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we took a little bit of tap dancing to find the right time zones for us, but we did it. We're here and we're ready to chat. This is going to be released early in 2021, and so how's the new year treating you so far?
I mean, a few of my gyms have been in lockdown over Christmas and New Year's period, but a very short 14 days. We went on to virtual. And the new year's looking very bright, mate. We've had a lot of inquiries, a lot of people very interested in coming back in their health and fitness. In Australia, it's really hot. So everyone's like, I need to lose weight. I need to be shredded for the beach. So very exciting times for us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about COVID. And I just want to share roughly, what you share with me, with the rest of our listeners, because where you are in the Sydney area, you actually been able to stay more or less open as a gym. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a forced shutdown for a period of time, but as soon as we were allowed back, we opened up. And we didn't have too many cases in Sydney. We were quite lucky. The government, I think, did a really good job. They locked down Australia quite well. So we bounced back really strong, and we were almost, by the back end of last year, we were almost at our record high membership levels. So yeah, wow. we bounced back really strong. I think a lot of Australians haven't yet been impacted too much by COVID. So fingers crossed it can stay that way and they can keep enjoying the gym and staying fit and healthy that way.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, as you know, a lot of our colleagues in the US where I am have not been so lucky, including a lot of my friends in New York City where Mark Fisher Fitness is. And so it's great to hear that Sydney did such a great job kind of controlling COVID and you guys have been able to stay open. So good for you. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So there's kind of 3 main topics I want to cover today. I want to talk a little bit about leadership. I want to talk a little bit about marketing, and I want to talk a little bit about scaling the business because you have 3 locations in the Sydney area. So let's just start by talking about leadership. And I think, as we were preparing for this call, we were talking about the fact that, a lot of your approach to leadership comes from your background in sports. So you think, I know that discipline plays a big part in how you think about leadership, and earning people's trust like you would on a team really matters to you. So just talk to me a little bit about what's your approach to leadership as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, with leadership, as you said, I relate it back to sport a lot. I played sport at a pretty high level in Australia, and I think you need to earn your staff's respect like you do in a football team. You don't just come straight on the team and with a reputation or previous history be like, I'm going to run this show. I'm the big man, whatever it may be. So the way I look at it is you need to do the things you say you're going to do, like absolute basics is always make sure whatever you say you're going to do, you follow through and do it. And the other thing is just show to your staff, show to the people on your team that you're on the same level as them. So no job is too small, no job is too tedious, or like I'll be in at the gyms and I'll make sure when I'm in, I'm grabbing a vacuum, I'm grabbing a mop, I'm doing things like that. I've been running virtual classes during Christmas and New Year's to make sure my staff get a break. But at the same time, you have to have that balance, and that's about being a good leader. So I make sure that I do it, and I do these things where they look at me and they're like, that's the exact same task I do. Connor does it, but I would only spend, half an hour a day, 20 minutes a day doing that. I would never spend half my day because I do really value my time. So for me, I work hard in doing the things that my staff do, showing that I'm on their level. And so, they really respect that and being around them, but at the same time, knowing my value and knowing that it would be a detriment to the business if I was to run classes every single morning, every single night, if I was to clean the gym all the time. So I generally don't run classes, but as soon as someone's sick, I'll step in and try and help out, and I'll do those things so they know I have their back and I'm around. So that's the way I sort of shape my leadership tactics and how I work.
Yeah, I think it's really smart, Connor. And you're right. These are things to you that probably sound very basic and very much like, of course, this is how I lead. But I think for many of our listeners and viewers, it's not necessarily the case. I know that many of us have had bosses and leaders in our lives that just show up and think because they have the title, they have the respect. Just because they have the title, they can not do certain things. So I think, not only earning everyone's respect by your title, but actually by doing things.
Totally.
You're willing to get your hands dirty and help and clean the floor, or help cover when someone's sick, and really that you're part of a team. I think that's not common sense to everyone. And I think we all have better businesses if people treated their teams as if they were a team.
Totally. And I remember when I was like 18 and I was traveling around playing football, and there were some people that I aspired to be like, and they would always look out for everyone, and they'd always want to go above and beyond. So hopefully, if you were to ask any one of my staff, I've got about 20 staff, they would say like, Connor's a good friend. He's a great leader and a great boss. He doesn't just rule via title. So I'm always there for them and doing things like that. So if you looked at me as a captain of the team, I want them to have the utmost respect for me because I get down and dirty with them. I do the tough things. I'm in the trenches. As well as leading the troops, coming up with strategy and things like that too.
Yeah. So for folks who are listeners who maybe are kind of first-time leaders, or they're leading a team, but they never really focused on their leadership style, what are the kind of habits that you've developed as a leader do you think really serve you well? What are the things that you do repeatedly and consistently that make your team think that you're a great leader?
So the first thing I do, and I really, really focus on, and especially as you expand your business, because it's so easy to think you're the back end guy, you're doing the marketing, whatever it may be. I make sure that I'm up before 5 a.m. So my alarm goes up before 5 a.m. because our gyms open at 5:15. And I head down to one of the locations, and I'm very rarely running a class, maybe like once or twice a month, but I'm jumping in a class. So they'll see me and I'm jumping in a class. And as soon as that's done, then I'll go off and focus on my work for the day. So at least they know I'm around, I'm doing the right things. The staff, the clients are like, this guy actually is here within his business, jumping in it. He truly loves it. So a big one for me is just being present. Lead via presence, and don't ever just lead via like an email telling people what to do. So they know, and then when I see them, I'm trying to make sure that I can inspire them in the smallest little way, whether it's a tap on the back, great session this morning, I'm so proud of your progression. So I really try and lead by making them feel good and making sure I'm present. That's the first thing I always will, within myself, be there. Because I know personally when I was growing up, I liked a leader who gave me encouragement and was always there with me to be like, hey, try and change this or try and do this, whatever it may be. Yeah. So that's the first one I'd definitely recommend.
For sure. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say yes. I want to yes and you. Be like, yes, absolutely. And for those of you who are listening right now and maybe can't be physically present with your team, right, because of COVID, that's not an excuse. I imagine that Connor would agree with me in saying that you can be present with your team without being face-to-face. By being present in their day, being present by phone calling, texting, and having emails that are checking in with them, not just instructional. And so I think
that's right.
Yeah.
And the other thing with that, sorry to cut you off, is that's really interesting because we would just start a daily huddle on Zoom for like 10 minutes with our 20 staff. And sometimes it was just like, this is your clear goals for each gym. And you just try and pump up individually. I'd write down on a notepad like 5 things or one thing about each person and be like, yesterday Michael did this, James did this, heads up for here. He saved a client by doing this. So everyone feels good. And then you leave this Zoom call and be like, let's go crush it. You got 3 hours of work today because everyone was on like half days during COVID. Let's go get it done. So yeah, I'm a big sports enthusiast, vibes guy. So hopefully if you work with me, you're really enjoying it. You're like enjoying your job, because we know sometimes being in the fitness industry can be hard. You're up early. So you've got to make sure the people that work for you and work alongside you are enjoying it. If you're not making them feel good and they're coming into work and then some clients are canceling or some clients are saying something's dirty and they're getting the wrath, they're going to be like, why am I doing this? So we try and make it, uplifting and enjoyable for them as employees. And then the only other thing, which I think as a leader is so important, is just to really stick to your word, because it is so easy to say something and not follow through. And then it's also so easy to lose respect. And as soon as you lose respect, your staff are going to slowly dwindle. They're going to start going on seek and look for other jobs and work out how they can slowly exit your business. So I think, whatever you do, even if you're so stressed, you're so tired, you just have to, as a business owner, you really need to show up and make sure you follow through on what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, that's really well said, Connor. And I think that demonstration of your integrity, time and time again, is the thing that absolutely builds trust and loyalty and, long-term retention of employees and clients. Let's be real. That's also
if you keep your staff, you generally keep your members, because they build relationships with everyone too.
Yeah. And I love your idea of a daily or regular virtual huddle, on Zoom, just as a way to kind of get the team together, make sure we're on the same page, share the things that are going well, celebrate people who are doing well. One of the things Mark and I say all the time when we're talking about, leadership and management, is that so much of good management is just catching people doing the right thing and celebrating them for it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And when you find people doing the right thing, being present with them means that you'll see it more often. Being present with them means you'll be able to celebrate with them when you see them do that good thing. And
I remember when I started, I didn't do that. It was a nightmare. I'd start as a business owner and I would be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And I remember reading a book. I can't remember what book it is, but it was like, catch people doing good things. Yeah. So that's why I write down a list of stuff they're crushing it, because everyone does such good things all the time, but we don't ever tell them they did a good job. But you do tell them, hey, mate, you turned up late. Don't do that again. And they're like, hang on, I've done 10 good things and this one thing I slipped up because it was traffic, and suddenly this guy's coming at me. So that's such a good point. I really love that, catching people doing a good thing and celebrating it.
That's it. And it's hard to do, because people are doing great work all the time in a successful business like yours or like Mark Fisher Fitness. Every day there's acts of true kindness and heroism and great results people are getting. And so, it can be a full-time job, and it should be for someone to be present and celebrating all the great things. And, all the great research says that every employee needs somewhere between 3 to 5 times as much positive praise as critical feedback. And that's a lot. That's a lot. That it means that every one piece of critical feedback you give in a week, you need to have 3 to 5 other moments where you said good job at this thing. And it takes a lot of work, but I mean, it starts with your point here of being present. Yes.
And being present, and just like I always tell myself when I walk in, I'm on show. I've got like in the morning we might have like 80 to 100 members crushing through that gym. It's like you're on show. Everyone's judging you, so be happy. You're not having a good day. You didn't sleep well. Pump everyone up. Make sure it's their best day of their life, and that energy comes from you as a leader.
Yeah, amazing. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. It's a big topic, and we can start anywhere you want, really. I mean, generally, the reason, you mentioned you love talking about marketing, but also I'm curious because you've scaled to multiple locations in a very competitive market like Sydney. I imagine it's very competitive. I've only been there twice, but I remember seeing a lot of gyms. It's a very outdoor, fitness-oriented culture. And so what has your approach been to marketing? And maybe even more specifically, how do you generate new leads to get fresh people coming in the door all the time?
Totally. Mate, we do work off very much a volume system. So, you have some gyms who will be like, you might get a week free, but then you join up for 6 months. We do a lot of introductory offers, low barrier offers, and we've just built 3 locations off them. So we have our systems in place where we know how much a lead's going to cost, how we're going to get them through, how many times we need to call them. Then they turn up at the gym. Then they do a low barrier offer trial. So it could be anything from like $7 up to $149. They might get them 2 weeks or 4 weeks of training. During that time, they get a coach who onboards them really well, checks in on them, and then about week 1 to 2, we're asking, are they enjoying it? Do they want to continue? And we try and close them by week 3. And then they do their final week on the trial, but they're already a member ongoing. And that's our system. And I'm telling you right now, you can open multiple locations copying that system. You just change the name from Detox to Blueprint to Shred Challenge to 28-day challenge to 7-day 14 Blitz. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. And I've had arguments with people in the fitness industry at big events that are like, you're flogging this thing that's ruining the fitness industry, getting people in for these challenges. And my simple discussion point to them is I'm trying to change these people's lives, but they don't know how to change it themselves. So unfortunately, we need to, this is going to sound wrong, but trick them into coming into the gym with an offer. And then they learn after 14 days, hang on, I can't get shredded in 14 days. So I need to join for, 6 months or a minimum of 12 weeks to lose the 5 or 6 kilos. And then over that period, we teach them, like all good gyms should, sustainable eating, the right exercise practices, doing their steps, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, and then they stay lean for life. So yes, the start is a bit of a gimmicky thing, but then you onboard them, they meet the culture. As you guys have an amazing culture, I know because I speak to Mark about it a lot, and they stay. So that's that's my crux of my marketing program.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense, and it's worked for you for a long time, right? And the idea here is many times you have to sell people what they want, but then give them what they need. And I think another way that I like to think about the sales process is when you want to inspire people to get out of their own way. Right.
Yes.
And that's the kind of the quote tricky part where you're trying to trick them and say, well, just come try it. Come give it a whirl. It's a challenge. It's fun. It's like a game. And that's the way to help them get out of their own way, get over any of the hesitations they have or fears they have about walking to the gym, or, getting those gym clothes back on, or being seen working out and looking stupid, whatever the hesitation is. That's the part we need to kind of trick people into, is like getting over that hesitation.
100%.
And to your point, you have the best possible intentions, right? I'm not tricking you to do something that's bad for you. I'm not selling you snake oil, right? I want to help you get out of your own way to just show up and start.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's hilarious when you have these conversations with some of the members who are like trying to get out of it. And they're like, hey man, like you won't stop calling me. I'm like, I'm only calling you because I want to change your life. You told me 3 weeks ago you want to lose 15 kilos, I'm only calling so you can lose the 15 kilos. Like, I don't mind. I want to hear a yes or no from you. I'm just checking out on you. And the other thing on my point, which I just came to my mind, is if you want to expand, and you're very much a one-man show. So I love sales as well. I love talking to people and just convincing them to change their life. That's the way I look at it, convincing them to make the right decision. And if you want to expand, our system works. Well, the system of the low barrier entry offer, I find, works for people who aren't strong at sales, because it is very much a try before you buy. So if you're a systems guy, or if you're an excellent trainer and you're not confident on that phone call to close them or get their credit card details, just get them in the gym for $49. That's not a hard sale. Get them in the gym for $49. Show them how amazing your facility is. After 7 to 14 days, they're hooked anyway, and then they join.
Yeah, I think it's really smart, Connor. I think it's smart. And I think you're right that even people who are seasoned sales professionals, I think having a low barrier offer makes sense, right? Yes. Because, it's the kind of thing that, I don't know about you, but I know at this point hundreds of training gym owners, and I know that very few of them are the same. Yeah. And the experiences you get in each of them are not the same. And so in our space, I think it makes sense to give our clients the ability to try us out and see if we're the right fit. I always say finding a great gym is like finding a great hairstylist or a great therapist. Totally. It might take a little bit because you got to find the right vibe, the right approach. So I think that makes sense. But I would love to just go back a few steps, because you mentioned your process kind of step by step very quickly. I want to just ask you to go back through that again so our listeners can, take notes.
Try and break it down a bit. Yeah, for sure. This is all off the top of my head, so I could miss something, but I should be okay. So, we market hard online. So we do spend probably the most amount of money in our area online. We sponsor sporting clubs as well. We try, and people should see I'm on the computer. It's hard to get it right. You should, if you walk around the northern beaches of Sydney and you go to a beach, hopefully on that day you should see someone wearing this brand, because we sponsor probably like one team every third beach, and there's about, say, 12 beaches up the coastline. So a lot of people are wearing our stuff as well. So we're trying to be seen everywhere. So via sponsorships, being in relationships with schools, sponsoring young athletes, all sorts of things. We have a lot of ambassadors as well.
Great.
And being very coastal and very beachy, there's a lot of young girls who have a lot of followers who are happy to get a discounted training or get free training and post about us every time they're here. So we have that option as well. We do work with that too. And then when the lead comes in, they often come in on a 28-day challenge. We find that works really well for us. We generally price that at about $149. We have an in-body scanner at our gym as well, so we can have an upsell for $99, and they get unlimited in-body scans, which is a really way to increase your income too.
Great.
And then off the back of that, we make sure that experience is amazing. So on the initial phone call, very basic, but get what they want to achieve, why they want to achieve it, what stopped them in the past, do they have any injuries, stuff like that. Block that all down. Then a trainer then is given that client, they onboard them. So they check in every week. Hey, Michael, you said you were going to train 3 times each week. Last week, you only did 2. Just so you know, this is our specialty in keeping you accountable to losing the 15 kilos. That's why I'm calling. Let's book you in for 4 next week. So we do the 6 in a fortnight, that sort of thing. Then they have an amazing experience. The close call, we're going to scan you on day 28. And regardless of the result, I'm going to coach you on how to lose the 15 kilos. So if you don't lose it, that's cool. We're going to work it out together. I've got your back. $65 a week ongoing. Let's get you started as of this date because it's the last date. What do you say? That sort of thing. You get a lot of objections. As we all know, there's so many sales books and stuff, but work through those objections, overcome them, whatever it may be, shorter the time they need to be with you, decrease the price, increase the length they're with you, whatever you want to do, or just encourage them because they need to lose the weight. Then bring them on as a member. So during that process as well, we obviously track everything with our CRM system, putting notes down every single week. They've got to have a note on your contact point, what they liked that week, what they didn't like, those sorts of things. So it's pretty structured. This will lead on to how I can run 3 gyms with not necessarily being there is then, I can oversee it from wherever I am. Even though I said to you, I love to be in via presence, I can then see, I know we had 40 trials over the month. Why didn't we convert at least 25 of them? And then I'll see there wasn't notes written in. So obviously they're not calling or whatever it is. So then you can check in on the staff.
Great.
So hopefully that was a bit more of a slower overview on how it works. Sometimes I talk fast and I get excited, so I don't know. But
no, that was great. I think that was really, really helpful. Let me just ask a few clarifying questions. So I know one of the parts that's the most challenging for folks is once you have that lead that came in, which for most people means you have a phone number, a name, or an email address, or some combination of the 3, and then you sell them to your trial.
Yes.
Talk about that follow-up process. That's where I often see people drop the ball. It's like, well, I called them once, they didn't answer. So
we're pretty ruthless, and I hate that attitude. Oh my God. Because in the past, I've had people like last year, I had a lot of people I was actually coaching, but I decided to completely stop that and just focus on my business because I realized I love fitness and my staff more than I did talking to other businesses anyway.
Sure.
But I would talk to people about that and I'd be like, why aren't you calling them? Like you have staff, you have yourself, you only work in the morning and afternoon. You have like 8 hours or 6 hours during the day to pick up the phone and call. So everyone, and this is another thing with KPI. So I can see on a Friday when I check the KPIs, how many calls were made at each gym, and we're going to aim for at least 250 calls during the week. So say if we're getting, I don't know, our KPI is anywhere between 25 and 45 leads a week, depending on each gym. They've got to be called at a minimum every day, at a minimum. So they should, and we'll give them 14 days or about 6 days a week because we don't do anything on Sundays, 6 days a week. So 12 days to get back to us and let us know. 6 days in, you swap over to the assistant manager. So the manager and assistant manager will make the calls. You swap if they don't get back to you. So if I called you for 6 days, I'm like, this guy knows my number. He's screening me. They do 6 days. If they don't want, after 2 weeks, we burn them. Sorry, mate. One final text. Hey, I know we're in COVID. I hope you're safe. I just want to check in on your health. Can you please just send me a text saying SOS just to let me know you're okay? Try and get them laughing. You might get that one final dude that does, haha. All right, SOS. You go, mate. Let's get you in the gym, and that's your savior. The last final, shot. That's the last shot.
Yeah. Well, that makes some sense, Connor. And this is the thing, and this from talking to business entrepreneurs too. They have such an aversion to that consistent follow-up. I hear all the time, I'm just afraid I'm going to annoy people, or just afraid I'm just being sleazy salesperson. But to your point earlier, you said this beautifully earlier. I won't be able to say exactly what you said, but when someone tells you they want to lose weight or they need help getting healthy, and you can help them do that, it's your obligation to follow up. Right? It's your duty to follow up. And they're gonna resist every step of the way, because if they didn't have resistance, they would have done it already.
That's right. It's so true. And I've had conversations with people that have gone, like, my staff have sat there and listened to me because I'm a pretty stubborn guy and I like to, as I said, lead by example. Yeah. So when people say, like, why do you keep calling me? I'm like, the only reason I keep calling you is because I know I've got a product that's going to change your life. Mm-hmm. In the form you filled out, you said you wanted to lose 10 kilos, and we specialize in body transformations. So the only reason I'm calling you is because I want to change your life. Yeah. And you just like be silent and see what they want to say. It's pretty hard if someone's like, and then if they really arc up, you're like, honestly, man, I'm sorry, but you put your name and number down. As I said, I'm just trying to do the best thing by you. That's it.
Yeah. I think that, and it's rare. I know from my experience, at least, and talking to my team who does most of our calls, it's rare to get someone who is really angry that you followed up with them. It's so rare. Yes. And, I think a special kind of person to fill out a form online and give you your name and phone number and email address and then get mad at you for using it. So I can't really empathize.
Yeah. It is. It's very rare and it's few and far between. But every now and then when it does happen, we've got the ultimate rebuttal of like, mate, we're in the health and fitness industry. I just want to help you achieve your goals. And you asked me to do that.
That's it. Yeah. One last clarifying question about your process. You mentioned that you have 3 locations, and at each it's kind of like this manager, assistant manager doing most of the sales. So just talk to me a little bit about who owns each step in the sales process.
Great question. So we have a dedicated person at each gym who'll be calling everyone. So that person you can help, you can analyze. As soon as they have booked in the consultation to come into the gym, they'll then send over on our on the CRM we use. It's called Gym Leads. They then pop them into either the manager or the assistant manager. So one of those two, and they generally will split the trial members 50-50 for the month. So they might look after 25 each, and they onboard them for the month. And it's really important that they don't swap from that point, because then we can analyze who's better at onboarding, and then you can encourage and coach. And as bad as it is, you want competition because you want people to be like, oh shit, he's closing 5% higher. I'm gonna double call this week. I'm gonna text. I'm gonna write him a card. I'm gonna give him a free pair of socks, whatever it may be, to increase this. So then you have that natural competitive nature in the gyms, and that's how we find we've closed a lot more sales, because you have unofficially a competition. There's no money, there's no bonus to whoever closes more, but you just want to close more. That's just how it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I say to business owners, fitness business owners all the time, that someone has to own all this outreach. If it can't be up to everyone, because then it's really up to no one. Someone has to own it. And the fact that each location you have 1 or 2 people that are really in charge makes a lot of sense. So I'm so glad you said that.
yeah, and it's so obvious that it's on them, because the CRM documents it's like you were assigned this person on this day at this exact time, and then 28 days later, this is what their occurrence was. So then you can have a discussion. It's very relaxed, but it's like, did you contact them every week? Why weren't they coming in the session? And they should be putting notes in like they were sick, and if they didn't come, what it was, So it's very, it's a way to like essentially like micromanage, but at the same time, I'm just like, just follow the job, and I'm going to chat to you during the period.
Yeah, 100%. And I would even say that, because I've worked a lot of micromanagers, that this is just a system that you've developed that everyone follows. It's a process that is consistent and requires consistent output. Micromanaging is someone looking over your shoulder, making sure you're following the steps.
That's right. I don't know how to say how to describe it. It wasn't really micromanaging, but it gives that sense of like they know that they can't really hide. They're like, if I don't call this person, it's very obvious to Connor. So
and that's the thing, is that that shows how good your system is, right? Because it makes it really kind of easy to do the right thing, and it makes it really uncomfortable and hard to do the wrong thing.
Yeah,
and that's the definition of like a good system. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's switch gears. One more topic before we get to our final 5 questions. So I want to talk a little bit about how you scaled, right, to 3 locations. So I guess first thing, just for our listeners, what was the time frame for you opening your first location to your third?
So we started in 2015. We had a very small studio. We moved to a bigger one. We moved to 500 square meters, which again was probably too big. I know you guys go off feet, right?
We do.
So I don't know.
I have no idea how.
Like 2,000.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I've spoken to Mark about this. We still took us a half an hour to wrap our heads around it. But anyway, so 500 square meters, which is pretty big. So at the moment, when we're busy, we have a mezzanine level. Do you guys call it a mezzanine, like a level a bit higher? Yeah, we have a mezzanine level, which fits about 15 to 20 people training. We have a large group area, which might have about maximum 40. We can have up to 40. And we have a strength and conditioning area, which has about 15 at the maximum. And then we have a PT area. So it's pretty busy, that gym. So in the mornings, we might get 100 people through at one time. So you might get up to about 150 to 200 through in the morning. But that was too hard to maintain. Like having that high volume of memberships, you got to spend a lot of marketing. You got a lot more staff. So the next 2 gyms were a lot smaller, and they happened in 2017 and then 2018. And then since then, we've sort of just been maintaining. Thinking about what was next, I ventured into the coaching, which sort of like took my mind and focus off my own business, which I didn't like to see,
Sure.
So now it's just doubling down on that and completely focusing on Code 5. So it was about a year of sustaining, growing, getting it to a profitable state, and then going again. And we did that over 3 years, and since then, the last 2 years, we've just very much sort of our membership peaked at about 1,000 members, and now it's at about 800 roughly now, but we've just had a mini lockdown. So we've got a huge amount of people that have either cancelled or suspended, losing their jobs and stuff like that. So bit of a hit, but we'll be back to 1,000 as long as we stay COVID safe this year.
Yeah, great. Well, I mean, congrats to you. I mean, only taking a 20% hit is a real win in this year. I'm talking to a lot of people who are cut in half or worse, haven't made it. So it speaks to, the strong brand and community you have there. So good for you. Plus, side note, I did a little math on Google while you were talking, and apparently 500 square meters is over 5,000 square feet. So that is a big space.
I was very well off. So the other ones are about 250 to 300, to put that into perspective.
Gotcha.
And we run 2 group area training sessions. So we have like more of a high intensity training session and more of a strength area.
Got it.
And you pay an additional value to train in the strength area because it's, more focused. If you have injuries, we can change the exercises and stuff like that. And then the large group training, AMRAPs, EMOMs, circuits, just challenging stuff with dumbbells and kettlebells,
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, tell me this, Connor. When it comes to scaling your business, now looking back at those 3 years of growing by one location about every year or so, what's one thing you look back on and like, wow, we did this really well? And what's one thing you look back on and you wish you had a do-over?
Great question. I think we marketed really, really well when we moved into the spot. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get nervous, and we'd grown our one gym, so we were sort of cocky and confident. We're like, we can do this. And at the time, now looking back at it, I'm like, it's kind of crazy. We were probably throwing like $2,000 a week online in marketing. For some people, I was like 25 and like didn't really have any money, but I was like, let's spend.
Yeah.
And just got a high volume of leads. So I think the second gym we opened, we might have opened with like 150 members or something, which was pretty crazy considering capacity of that gym is about 275. So we were almost like on opening day, had a huge amount of members coming in.
Yeah.
What we didn't do probably well, honestly, is probably just the design of how we can fit members in. Like we didn't know when, once you set back and you train people for a year in that facility, like we built like this small office that gets used for like an hour a day because the PTs do their admin from 9 or 10 till 11, then they leave. And it takes up so much of the gym. So we end up knocking that down. Things like that, we didn't properly plan to maximize the amount of memberships we can get, to space it out. And especially during COVID, because everyone's like, you need more room now.
Yep.
We're like, oh my God, we have so much wasted stuff that people don't use, like racking and shelves and showing off clothing and stuff in a nice area. And it's like, that's all good stuff, but we're a small gym. We're not prestige. They come in, they're out. It's more like paint it, make it look beautiful, but maximize the room you can get. Because if you can get your gym to 300, 350 members, you could be doing $1 million revenue instead of doing 750 or something like that, or 660. So 100% spacing, organization of the gym, spend another day, plan it out properly, and really nail that down.
Yeah. I mean, those are great answers. I mean, the fact that you were so bold and looking back on it, even more bold than maybe you are now at spending money on marketing, right? I mean, people are just so afraid to spend that money, but for every dollar you spend that makes you two, you should be willing to do that all day long.
Exactly. Even though it's scary, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But the other thing I think is because I was almost cocky and confident, and the people around me, we were very, very similar. We knew we were going to do the hard work. As you said, some people get the leads and they don't call them. We were like itching to get these leads, and we'd sit there and call and have competitions to see who can book the most people in.
Wow.
And we'd ring a bell when we did it. So it was like, you just want to hear these bells go off. So I think it was like, people are scared to spend the money because they're like, do I really want to call this person? Yeah. Or they don't get their return on their money because they only call them 3 times instead of 15. So I think that was a bit of a difference on why I probably now think back at why I was happy to do it. Because right now I don't really enjoy the calls as much, if I'm being honest. I like my staff to do them.
Sure.
But back then I was like so hungry to pick up that phone. So that's probably it.
I also say the other factor that may or may not have been the case for you is that, Facebook was different back then.
Very true.
Yeah. Social ads were maybe different back then, but still you can still get far. It just maybe takes a few more bucks, and the same thing is true, is that you have to be willing to service those leads. You have to be willing to hustle for those leads to get them to the next step. And that's always the case.
At the end of this call, give me 2 minutes and I'll do some other stuff which have got low Facebook leads for Code 5 in the last 6 months. So people in America can try them as well. All the people, all the listeners.
Yeah.
At the end, I'll run through a few things. Remind me.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And I also want to point out that you said, the thing that you would do differently is thinking about how to maximize the square footage and maximize the space per client. And I think that's something that is really underappreciated. People are expanding is that, our business is often a real estate game. We make or break our
Yeah,
business model by how much we're paying for rent and per square foot. And so
totally.
if you don't plan that well and plan to maximize the space, you're just leaving money on the table. So I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners. So thank you for that.
No worries.
Yeah. So let's do this in the interest of time. Let's move on to our final 5 questions, and then we can
Yeah.
circle back to anything you want to at the end. But I want to make sure I
Yeah.
get these in. These are 5 questions that I ask everyone who's on the podcast, and they're just meant to be kind of rapid fire, but also feel free to take your time if you want to.
Okay.
Rapid fire if you want.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Connor, for question number 1 of your final 5, it's what is one thing you just love about being a gym owner?
I honestly think I have like 1,000 friends. I am friends with like every client, and I walk down the shops and I'm giving knuckles to people and elbows now because of COVID. And my wife kind of hates it. Well, she doesn't hate it, but she's always like, you talk to everyone. And it's just cool to see a lot of people, It feels nice to have people that care for you and you care for them.
Yeah, it's a community, right? And that's
Yeah.
what's good for you. Awesome. Number 2, what is the coolest thing you've done for a client? So we talk a ton about over-delivering for clients, creating the best possible experience. What's one of the coolest things you've done to take care of a client?
Oh, man. Honestly, we pride ourselves in this from like, giving them years of free membership. People had cancer. We let them train for free. We gave them free personal training. We probably last year, we donated 20 free memberships to 20 people in Sydney. So we said anyone who's struggling, and we got them to email in and we just did an opt-in and they could type in some stuff. So we gave 20 free memberships away last year.
Wow.
And we had, members when I met them, like would go, hey, are you Connor? Like, cause I'm just training in the class, and they'd like hug me and cry because they're like, their husband passed away and stuff like that. And they don't have any money. So really crazy stuff. So I say those 20 people last year, unfortunately, they didn't get to use all of it because of COVID. But a lot of them, honestly, probably like half of them who did stick around for the full year are now just training for free anyway because they can't afford it, and they've got kids and stuff. So that would be it. Probably looking after those guys.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good for you. I mean, it says so much about your values and about the way you want to show up for your community and neighborhood. So that's amazing. Yeah. Awesome. So question number 3 is this. This is about your team. When someone on your team does this, it makes you really super happy. So what do people do on your team that just really lights you up and makes you so proud or excited?
Yeah, we have a thing called wow moments. So when a client goes wow, so I allow them to give them apparel and hats and socks and cheap stuff we get, and send them cards. So anything that I hear about where they do it without telling me. So sometimes like a chick just invited 3 friends, and one of my staff was like, here's a hoodie, and wrote her a card. And I find out about it like 2 weeks later. I was like, mate, that was such a boss move by you. Like, she's going to refer again and again. Like, just whether, and that's like building a marketing funnel, just, organically. But anything that is boosting our clients' experience that they do without checking in on me, I'm trying to give them rein to go and do things, So that sort of stuff, when I hear about it later, I love it.
Yeah. So Connor, I've only been asking this question for, I think you're maybe my 5th or 6th interview in 2021. And it's already the most popular question, most popular answer is some version of, I love when my team takes ownership of something without asking me. There's nothing that gets a fitness entrepreneur, or maybe entrepreneurs in general, more excited than when their team expresses like real ownership of the
business. So true. That's awesome.
That's exactly a good example of that. Amazing. Question number 4. We already talked about marketing, so you can keep this one short, but question number 4 is, what is your most reliable strategy for generating leads? If you had to go generate leads tomorrow, what do you do?
Oh, we throw money online, Facebook ads, and get them for, I don't know, anywhere between $25 and $60, and try and generate them into a $150 sale.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Well said. And last but not least, question number 5, what is one thing you think gym owners can start doing better tomorrow?
Community engagement. It's free. I go to the local council. We offer free virtual classes to our area. You go down to a sporting club for free, offer them a free training session, give them a singlet each. The singlet costs you $15. Everyone's wearing your gear. It is all free. It's time. If you outsource your time so you don't train people at night, go to the basketball club, go to the sporting club, go to the swim club, give a seminar, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well said. Yeah. Great tips. I think it's great. Just people are afraid to give free. Give free time. Go just put yourself out there. It'll come back to you as it has to you so many times over.
Totally.
Yeah. Amazing.
Totally.
Awesome. So as we wrap it up, anything else you want to share with our audience that we didn't get a chance to talk about yet?
I think the only thing, well, just touching one thing on marketing is if you're struggling online, some really simple ways to increase your leads. Now, the quality of lead might not be the best, but you can get a huge amount of volume. So as I said, the 20 free memberships we gave away gave us so much goodwill within the community that people were like, wow. And people started coming to us just for us doing that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reason I did it. I generally did it because we'd had a lot of members who had done trials with us and really struggled financially and couldn't afford it. But a really simple way to generate a higher volume of leads is run a competition. You can do a simple lead gen competition like win 6 months free at Mark Fisher Fitness. Click here, and all I need to do is opt in, name, number, and then you call them and you're like, we're drawing it in 3 months' time. Would you like a 2-week free trial in that period?
Yeah.
And you get them in. You can get leads. We're getting leads for anywhere between like $2 and $8.
Wow.
So that is I would say if you're doing that in your area, running a 6 month free, and then you're going to give one membership away for 6 months. You're running group classes anyway. I'd recommend doing that like once or twice a year to generate, 300 leads in your area. That's a huge way. And then the campaigns on Instagram, we all know about: tag, share, ad, those sorts of things if you want to build volume there.
Yep.
And another cheeky way I would recommend, I've got a lot of sneaky ways to generate leads, because if you have 5 sneaky ways, that's a whole campaign.
That's
you
it.
get some great
that's a whole business.
Yeah. Is on your Instagram I would definitely try and find Facebook community pages and reaching out, posting on them, which I'm sure a lot of people already do. The other one though is on the Instagram is finding people in your area who like hashtags, who follow things, who are clearly tagging Manly Beach. It's right near at one of our gyms. You can private message them off your business page. There's no reason you can't assign one of your staff to message them. You send out 20 messages a day. You'll be surprised how many replies you get saying, hey, we've got a special offer. We're offering 7 days free or 14 days free, or a free trial on this, or our free meal plan, and see if they're interested. All you're doing is putting yourself out there. It's completely free. You're not harassing them. It's just a simple message.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways, a little bit of side hustle that you can generate, maybe another 5 to 10 leads a week for free on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, that's huge, Connor. And those are all fantastic tips. So I hope listeners and viewers, you were writing that down. Those are all fantastic. They're great strategies. And as you said, they barely cost you anything, just time. They also build free will and put you out, and expand your reputation. And so those are all fantastic. Amazing. Connor, how can people learn more about you, about your business, find you online? Where can they follow up with you?
Well, my Instagram is just my name, Connor Petterson. So it's T-S-S, my last name, Petterson, and Connor, C-O-N-N-O-R. You can add me on Facebook as well if you want to chat. That's just my name. Or my email is connor@code5.com.au. And hopefully follow Code 5, guys, on Instagram as well.
Yeah, amazing. We'll include links.
Message you, see if you're in Australia.
If you're in Australia, he's going to try and sell you something. Yeah, for sure. And we'll include all links of that in the show notes below. So go follow Connor. He's an amazing dude, obviously so inspirational, and been, it's just crushing the game on all these tips today. Were really so fantastic. So thank you for sharing your expertise and your energy and your passion with everyone today. I really appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much.
Michael, thank you so much for having me, my man.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
Hey friends, before you go, just one more thing. If you enjoy this podcast, you get value out of it, you enjoy listening, please share this podcast, comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Please share it with friends and family. We don't spend any money on marketing or advertising. And so the only way people find out about this podcast is from you. So please do everything you can to share it with friends and fellow colleagues in the fitness industry. We love making it, and we want to keep doing it for a long, long time. So I appreciate your support. Go have a kick-ass day. Bye.